Long ago, in a living room very much like yours, two women made up a podcast on how movies link up to each other, and they called it 6 Degrees of Feature Film.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 6 Degrees of Feature Film podcast. I am Miss Movies.
And I am Stacey Howard.
And we're here to entertain you, as always, right?
Yes.
Of course. So today, here's what is happening today. We are going to be featuring about 7 films. We take one film and we show how 6 other films link up to that film. And our feature film for today, Stacey, is what?
It is Raiders of the Lost Ark. The
dun,
first,
dun,
dun, dun, dun. It's Indiana Jones, people. Indiana Jones.
But originally it wasn't called Indiana Jones.
That's right.
That's the better part, because now it's called like Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, or they renamed it or whatever. Mm-hmm. But originally just Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Right. And then they figured out that it was now a franchise and a brand. And so they were like, oh, let's add in the name so people can recognize it.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Good times. Did you
Good
want to
times.
go? Stacey's going to lead us off for Raiders of the Lost Ark, if you need any information.
So, Raiders of the Lost Ark, an archaeologist and adventurer, Indiana Jones, is hired by the U.S. government to find the Ark of the Covenant before the Nazis. So, the cast, of course, Han Solo himself, Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones. You've got Karen Allen as Marion Ravenwood, and you've got Denholm Elliott as Dr. Marcus Brody. It's directed by Steven Spielberg. It's written by Lawrence Kasdan and George Lucas, and it boxed office at a $390 million with only an $18 million budget. So this is a big deal. Obviously, it's a huge, iconic movie of everyone's childhood. Amazing.
Which is why they spun so many sequels.
That's right.
I say only 2 because I just discount.
You know what? I'm going to make a
sequel.
Hurtful confession.
Okay.
I don't hate Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
That's fine. You don't have to hate it.
I don't hate it. I thought the beginning was great and fun. We don't have to go into that, but that's a whole other podcast.
I think the monkeys are what
it's the monkeys
brought it down
swinging
for me.
on vines, ridiculousness. But I thought everything else, all the people part of it was great. And then aliens were there, and I was like, what's happening? E.T. So it won Oscars for sound, editing, visual effects, and art direction, which are all amazing and great in this film, and why it's lasted so long, and it's such an adventure because it's put together so well.
Now, they might have just been, I flubbed on my notes somewhere, so they may have just been nominated, unless I wrote down that it won. So I don't know.
It may have won sound, and then for the rest been nominated.
Sure.
Perhaps.
We no longer have a computer to check anything because the feedback was so bad that we just had to cut that out.
Yep.
So, yeah. So, therefore, you're just going to have to take it for what it's worth and get upset with us later.
Sorry
that
about
nerd
that,
rage. That nerd rage is going to have to come in.
You guys can fact check us if you want. I'm not going to pay attention to it. I'll be like, yeah, okay, thanks.
Right.
But you can do it.
This is an interactive podcast.
Yeah.
I want you to play along at home. So that's why we give you fake facts, right?
Right.
Or close facts.
Mm-hmm.
Close facts. I guess I did write that it won for sound editing, visual effects, and art direction. So if I had just left it blank, it would have been like, maybe.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Maybe. We'll see.
So when do you first remember seeing Raiders of the Lost Ark?
So this would have been in my childhood, of course. My family was big movie nerds, and we would have like an Indiana Jones marathon on Sundays while making pancakes. So it was like, probably every few weekends we would always just sit down to watch these movies. So I don't have a memory where I haven't been aware of Indiana Jones and all of his adventures. So it's just little Stacy in her Little Mermaid footed pajamas watching this with mom, dad, and the big bro.
Right. I must have watched it with my parents because it just seems like something that they would make sure that they were sitting with me to watch. I don't know if they thought, well, it's parental guidance. So.
Well, there's faces melting.
Right.
So,
so that could be scary.
Yeah.
But I don't know exactly when. I'm sure I was probably in elementary school or possibly middle school, but I doubt it, especially if this came out when. Who knows? I forgot.
In 1962.
There you go.
Starred Michael Caine. Why cocaine?
Yeah, so
fake facts.
Anyways, fake facts. We're on fake facts today. But I do remember I don't know. There's a few things, like, it's really transcended into popular culture now that there is a ride at Disneyland that came out probably in the mid-90s that was released. And my high school dance team, we did the novelty to, you know, it was just Indiana Jones, so it could, like, be any of the lore of Indiana Jones. And I was Indiana Jones. I mean, there were a few of us.
Nice.
But I was the only one with the leather coat.
Oh,
when
wow.
we were dancing.
Well, then you were
So,
official.
Yes, I was. Very
Who
exciting.
played the giant ball rolling towards you?
Oh, we didn't do that part.
You didn't? You didn't
No.
make a giant ball of girls and roll them?
No, but there was, when I
Darn
was in a junior in high school, there was like a float. Someone did an Indiana Jones float for their, for homecoming. And
Nice.
it was not good. Like something happened. There was a problem. It just looked terrible. And I don't even know. But the one guy did pretty good who was playing Indiana Jones. Like he actually like would lose the hat, like not on purpose.
Whoa.
And actually catch it again. I was like, that's
Nice.
actually pretty good.
That's
I was
pretty
like, good
legit.
acting.
I would have dated that guy. I would have been like, hey, I saw that hat action and I like it.
The most recent watching, I watched it on DVD last week, but it was more like in the background. So I wasn't quite paying attention. One thing I did want to ask, though, when I was watching it, I was like, okay, there's the scene where Karen Allen and another gentleman are like taking shots, and it's like, who's going to hit the floor first or whatever. I was like, you would be dead.
Yeah.
All those shots.
Yeah. There's like 52 shots in front of them. That's alcohol poisoning.
That would be
I'm
like water poisoning. Too.
Yeah. I'm like done after 3, probably. I'm like, guys, I want to go home and watch Say Yes to the Dress. I don't know if I can handle
Say
this.
Yes to the Dress.
Or whatever, you know.
I find this to be one of my favorite opening scenes, though.
That is my favorite scene in the movie, is the opening scene. It's just such an adventure. It really is.
Right.
And you mentioned the Disneyland ride. That's my favorite ride at Disneyland.
Well,
Me and my friends literally freak out every time we go on it because we love it so much. I remember once we had done the Disneyland entire day thing, you know, where you go, get there early in the morning, you ride all the rides, and then towards the end of the night, we were walking home, and it must have been like, you know, 11:45 or something. They're about to close the park. And as we're walking by, they go, last call for Indiana Jones. And we were like, wah! And like, it was like a stampede. We just screamed and ran into the ride because we were like, this is awesome. There's no line. We're the last ones. It was great. So that ride is a revelation. It's incredible. And it's so fun. And that's how the opening scene feels. And that's why it's my favorite scene. Because it's like a ride.
Now, it kind of takes like a minute to get into it. Like, there's a little bit of build-up. Watching it again, I was like, oh, it pretty much starts and he's, like, ready to take the idol or whatever. But no, there's a lot of build-up. And I recognized for the first time when I watched it last week, Alfred Molina. This is his first film.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, that's a young Alfred Molina.
He's so
What
young.
is going on?
Mm-hmm. And because my recent viewing was, I watched it at Hollywood Forever Cemetery, the outdoor cemetery. It was so fun. And this would have been, actually, I think this was last year, 4th of July week. And so it was like the 3rd of July. And then at midnight was like the finale of the film was going on. And then they had fireworks going off at midnight, like right when the finale was happening. It was amazing. I was like in tears. I was so moved. I was like, movies are great. There's dead people around us, but movies.
I've always wanted to do that. Like, I've wanted to do the idea of going to the Hollywood Forever Cemetery and like, oh, fun, watch a movie here. But then I just like got to the point of I'd have to get in line early and I'd have to do all this, and there's not like a guaranteed seat, and I was like, nope, I'm
lots
out.
of work. People bring like camping backpacks. They bring like their George Foreman grill to grill. They have summer salads that they're tossing. People brought a beer pong table. They just laid it flat on the ground and we're playing. I'm not gonna lie, I flirted my way into that game.
Yeah,
I was like, hey boys, and then I just joined. But you know, it's I don't judge anyone.
No.
And it's a grand old time. If you have an opportunity, go to the Hollywood Forever Cemetery movies during the summer. They're awesome.
Yeah, there's some other ones that have been popping up here and there. Like one on like a rooftop hotel where you get like your own headphones and stuff. And I was like, germs. I'd rather bring my own.
Oh, I would go. I'd just bring like some wipes, you know.
Yeah, but here's the thing. When you go to one of those things, like what... I don't know. What is the point when you're all wearing headphones and just staring at a screen?
I didn't know that it was headphones.
Yeah.
I thought you went and it was like a rooftop movie. Because this sounds dumb.
Yeah,
headphones. That sounds like you might as well just be on a plane.
Like, don't you want to have fun with everyone around you? Like, isn't
Yeah.
that the point? Like, we're seeing a nostalgic film. Not that we're going to be rude and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
at least, like, I don't know. I feel like that kind of takes away from it.
Yeah.
Kind of makes it a little more serious.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I've also never been to a drive-in movie. I want to do one
those
of
are
those
fun.
too. I
Those
need
are a
to.
good time. Okay, so I saw Spider-Man at drive-in. All right,
Ooh, nice.
moving on.
Okay.
But I did want to let you know, for that opening sequence, Harrison Ford actually did outrun the boulder, like every single time he had to do that.
Whoa.
And that stumble that he takes is like the one time that he stumbled, and
They
he
kept it in.
and so they kept it in because they're like, oh, that was genuine.
I
Let's
love when
just
they do
it.
that in movies. Sound of Music.
What else do we? Oh, this movie, which I think is so interesting. I guess when George Lucas released Star Wars, whenever he releases a film or released that film particularly, he decides to take a vacation to like get out and like leave and be like, I don't want to know what the numbers are. You can let me know when I come back. Okay, so like I was saying, George Lucas likes to take a vacation when his movie comes out, and Steven Spielberg decided to join him. So when they were on vacation in like Hawaii or whatever, they got a call to say like, oh, Star Wars is doing really good. And while they were there, they came up with the idea of Indiana Jones.
Nice.
I was like, well, that could be fun on vacation. Good times. And this was 1981's biggest grossing film.
Big
which is
one.
pretty cool.
It's a big one.
It is. Anyways, I think that's pretty much it for Raiders of the Lost Ark, unless we want to get into any more exciting details.
We can get into a few pieces of trivia about
Okay.
the film. Most people know this piece of trivia, but when Harrison Ford was on set and he was doing a fight scene, he was supposed to do this really intense sword fight scene with one of the stuntmen, and he was like sick that day, or he wasn't feeling well, so one of the takes he just pulls out a gun and sarcastically was like, psh, to the guy, and they thought it was so funny that they kept it in the film, and that's now like an iconic scene and an iconic moment for Indiana Jones, is he's just like, screw this, Sean blows him away. So that was a Harrison Ford moment.
That's pretty good. I'd probably do the same thing.
I would too. I'm not into swords. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Well, is it a sword against... Oh, wait, no, it was sword against sword. I was like, is it a sword against whip? Because then
That's
you're
right.
kind of outmatched
Yeah,
there.
yeah. I mean, whip is fast, you know.
True.
It's got that,
Yeah.
it's not like you can dodge a whip, really, if the other person is pretty good with it.
Well, yeah, it depends
That's right.
on the trajectory.
And then
I don't think I could dodge one at any point in time.
I feel like I could because I have cat-like reflexes.
Okay, good.
I've been told. But I told that to myself
Okay,
just now.
good.
So I'm just declaring that I could dodge a whip. And also, of course, what's his face was supposed to be Indiana Jones, Tom Selleck,
Yes.
and they wouldn't mustachy Tom Selleck, and they wouldn't let him out of his contract for Magnum PI. So Harrison
Right.
Ford was the next
was the
one.
next pick.
That's
My
it.
acting teacher at USC was up for Indiana Jones as well. And he
Really?
was like really disappointed. He's like, I'm so disappointed that did not happen. He's like,
Well,
however,
I'm sure.
he's like, however, I got a lot of jobs because I look like Harrison Ford. He's like, so because of that,
Oh.
because of Indiana Jones coming out, I was able to get a lot of work because of it.
Nice.
So I was
That's
like,
pretty
well,
cool.
there you go. That
Yeah.
works out.
Pay the bills. Awesome.
I was like,
The
and now you
almost
don't have to
Indiana
worry about like
Jones.
paparazzi all the time too. You do your
That's
thing,
right.
you do your acting, you
Don't
get
have to
your
worry
paycheck.
about almost dying in plane crashes in fields.
Ooh, scary.
Ooh.
So our link to our next films are going to be Harrison Ford films.
There you go.
So we're going to pick 2 films that have Harrison Ford in them, and we are going to discuss those. So why don't you go ahead with yours, Stacey?
Mine is an unconventional choice, I think. It's a dark horse. Most people don't think, oh, yeah, that's a Harrison Ford movie. What Lies Beneath?
I don't think it's a Harrison. Well, I mean, he's in it.
He's in it. He's in it. He's one of the main
Yes.
characters. But when you think Harrison Ford, you don't automatically think What
Right.
Lies Beneath. So I was like, I'm totally gonna pick one because it's a little gem. It's a little gem in his
In his
IMDb.
repertoire.
Yeah. His list of films. So here we go. The synopsis. The wife of a university research scientist believes that her lakeside Vermont home is haunted by a ghost, or that she has lost her mind. So it stars Harrison Ford, Michelle Pfeiffer from Grease 2, Catwoman herself. And also it's got Miranda Otto in it, Otto, however you pronounce it, who is Éowyn in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, the one where she was like, I think it's the Witch King is like, no man can kill me, and she's like, I am no man, and stabs him, and it's amazing. It's my favorite moment in Lord of the Rings trilogy.
What is her character in this film? Because I don't remember.
She plays the neighbor, the scared neighbor. And I'll get into spoilers for the movie, so if you haven't seen it, pause, go watch it. Hey, you're back. Welcome. Okay, let's talk about it.
Let's
get into this. It was released in 2000. It boxed office $155 million. This movie was like a big. This is probably the first time I saw it was in theaters. This might have been the first scary movie my parents let me see in theaters. I'd watched scary movies before and at home, but this is like the first where they were like, okay, I guess she's ready. And they took me to see like a scary. From the trailers, it looks like a ghost movie.
Were you like 12? How old were you?
I was 10.
Okay.
Yeah, 2000, I would have been 10 years old. And then I haven't seen it in a few years, like 4 or 5 years, but I need to rewatch it again because it's been parodied so many times. I kind of forgot how popular it was, and then I was like, oh yeah, they did it in like Scary Movie. They had the scene, I think she's starting to suspect something. Who, your wife? That whole thing. And it was a pretty big thriller of the year. Let's see. My favorite scene is when. So, getting into spoilers of the movie, Harrison Ford's character, and this is the only other time he's played a villain in a film besides American Graffiti.
Right.
So,
and you don't really know that he's the villain.
You don't know that he's the villain, but he is. He was having an affair with a student of his. She saw them walked in on them one night and drove away in the rain and then had a car accident. And then she forgot what she saw. And so it's like a few years later after all this happened, she starts getting these, I guess visits, you want to call them, from a ghost. These strange things starts happening, and she finds, different clues and evidence and stuff. And she's like, this girl is haunting me because my husband killed her. And she's like trying to get revenge on him or trying to have someone figure out what happened. So my favorite scene is when she becomes possessed by Madeline. Michelle Pfeiffer's character becomes possessed and confronts Harrison Ford. And that's the first moment when you see that, this ghost is really out to get him and not her. And she, she's not crazy. It's just an affair he had. And so...
This is very Hitchcockian.
Yeah, that's what I read online, was that the director, who is Robert Zemeckis, our director from Back to the Future, a previous episode, he was very inspired by Hitchcock in this film. And so he basically said he made it like a Hitchcock film if Hitchcock had access to CGI and all the technical and digital stuff they did with the film. Right. So, and that's my least favorite thing about the movie, is that it kind of dates itself. This CGI ghost and everything, it kind of just looks a little cheesy and very 2000 early.
He must have been going for something with the bathtub scene. He's like, how can we make this shower scene? How can we take
exactly.
that and make it into something different?
Exactly. That's probably.
But
totally
it's so slow that you're like,
it is.
Okay.
And you're like,
you're waiting for the tub to
fill
up.
Yeah. And then, that's about it for the movie. I mean, I don't want to go into too much detail. I already spoiled it, but. It was just something really different for Harrison Ford to do, and he played the bad guy in it, and I liked that, and I liked his scenes because he truly seemed like he was a horrible person in those final moments when he's basically about to drown her and is like, shh, and makes her shush and pushes her down. You're like, oh my God, Han Solo is drowning a woman. What is happening?
Right. I wonder at what point he snapped, because I don't remember in the film. At what point he gets rid of the other girl.
I think it's when she was threatening to go to the dean and tell everyone that he had an affair with a student. So his job was threatened, his life with Michelle Pfeiffer was threatened, And so he was like, I'm just going to get rid of this girl versus go through all this drama, because she was like causing a fuss in his opinion.
Sure.
So that's when he killed her. And then he put the truck into, like, pushed it into the lake or the river or something. And then eventually they end up back in that same area when Michelle Pfeiffer is trying to get away. They go into the lake, and then she sees the other truck at the bottom. And then the ghost's body, Madeline's body, comes out and, like, saves her and kills Harrison Ford. And then it's like...
That gets a little crazy.
Shit gets crazy, guys. It's bananas. I like, forgot how kind of ridiculous this movie is. But it's good, though. It's, like, a good thriller. I like it.
Gosh. I feel like I've only seen this once. I saw it in the theater with my mom. And... yeah, I just remember the reveal being so powerful of, like, when you figure out that he's the bad guy, and it's like,
what?
I know. It's
Harrison Ford? No!
But
exactly.
the premise itself is very similar to, have you been watching How to Get Away with Murder on ABC?
No.
That is a delightful, like, delightful. That's a very, like, crazy show. And it is something that I totally recommend, because it has the similar premise of, like, the job being threatened and things like that. And then it just goes absolutely crazy. And Viola Davis is... I haven't been keeping up on Emmy news or anything like that. I don't even know if they're over. I don't know what's happening.
I have no idea.
But she is so good. Like, I haven't really seen anyone on television do what she has been doing with that show.
Nice.
So I highly recommend.
I'm going to have to check it out. I will follow your directions.
Oh, yes, very good. The Harrison Ford film that I selected was 1992's Patriot Games, which came out on June 5th. It is about a CIA analyst, Jack Ryan, who interferes with an IRA assassination. A renegade faction targets him and his family for revenge. So basically, like, he foils this plot to kidnap a royal because, like, it's happening all in front of him, and he stops it. And then because he stops it, the guys then go after him because they're like, how could you... we're going to take you out, and then we're just going to try to do this again, basically, is what the idea is. But it doesn't all work out that way. And he's just an analyst. Like, he sits behind a desk. He's not, like, in the field or anything. But when stuff was going down, he's like, I'm going to take care of this. Like, my kid and my wife are here. Like, I have to protect everyone. Which is kind of interesting. Like, I wouldn't think that a CIA analyst over in wherever they were, London or something, would have a, be armed. Although maybe he wasn't armed. Oh, now I'm forgetting. And I just watched it the other week.
I have no idea.
This is the problem. I've watched so many films in the last 2 weeks that they're all just jumbled at this point. So I watched Patriot Games again because I was like, I have to remember this film. I really liked it when I first saw it. And now I can't remember if he was armed or if he, like... took arms from someone else. Like, I can't remember.
Was there a giant rolling boulder in this
unfortunately
movie?
There should have been.
I think maybe there was, and you're forgetting again. That's exactly what is in there. That's what he's armed with. It's a boulder, and he rolls it towards the bad guys. I actually haven't seen Patriot Games, so I'm gonna make everything up.
You know what? It's really good. I haven't seen The Hunt for Red October, which is also a Jack Ryan film. So there's Hunt for Red October, which was Sean Connery, and then later came Patriot Games with Harrison Ford, and then Harrison Ford also did Clear and Present Danger, which was like the continuation of the series.
That's right. And it's a series of books, right?
It's a series of books by Tom Clancy.
That's right.
Also, what's his name? Chris Pine was in like a recent one that was like a Jack Ryan
It's not
one.
good.
Oh, that's
no,
too bad.
it was boring. I was so bored with this. I was like, this is not interesting at all. Keira Knightley was in it, I think, and yeah, no, it just wasn't fun at all. The plot and the threat didn't feel real. It was all just like, you know, someone's going to transfer a bunch of money and it's going to ruin the world's economy. Like, there was no, I know,
there's
like,
no
I
real
know that's
threat
bad,
of danger.
You know, but there's no, like, there's no real danger. It's not, like, I want, like, a bomb about to go off in a stadium, people. I need explosions. I said that weird, explosions. I need chaos. I need rapid fire. I need people jumping in air with guns. Like, I'm sorry, I'm an old school kind of gal, but, you know.
This movie has its ups and downs in terms of, like, it starts off pretty good and gets, like, pretty quickly like into an action sequence, and then you're kind of lull for a while, and there's little things here and there, but the end action sequence is I don't want to say too much about it, because if you haven't seen the film, like by me even just saying I love this one aspect of it is going to ruin it for you. Okay. So
you could just say spoiler alert and then talk about it. I could,
but I totally want people to see this film.
Okay.
Anyway, maybe I can try to tiptoe around it. So when the bad guys are coming after them, they put on some gear that like makes it so that they can, I don't know,
go
be
like
more
in
efficient,
disguise? Oh,
you know, if you will, at their job of trying to, you know, take people out, and that itself is interesting to me. So I'm trying to keep it vague.
Okay. I have no idea what you're talking about now.
All right,
Did they put on like Valentino gowns? Like what kind of gear is
that
this?
That would be amazing. So they did have some scenes that were shot in the actual CIA headquarters, which was the first time that the CIA had ever done such a thing. And the author, Tom Clancy, like disassociated himself from the production after reading the first draft. So I guess he was not too pleased with it, which is unfortunate. The events of the film were actually inspired by an actual attack on the members of the royal family, where there was a true life attempt to kidnap Princess Anne in 1974.
Oh.
So from that,
why
he was like,
would someone try and kidnap a royal?
Like ransom, probably?
I mean, ransom, I guess, but, well, yeah, I guess that's the only thing. I don't know. I just never understood. I was like, they're just royalty. Like, they're just people. You know, It's not like they have power. You know, if it's like,
sure.
You know, if it's like the English monarchy, they don't really have, like,
right, they don't actually do it.
Yeah, they don't actually
do anything. They're just figures.
Yeah, exactly. They're just public figures, so I don't really get it. I don't know. But I'm going to have to research that then and see what happened with that.
And Thora Birch is the little girl in this. It's very cute. And there is a cliffhanger at the end. Spoiler for that, but I'm not going to tell you what the cliffhanger is. But it's cute. Okay. It seems kind of funny, but you're like, oh, that's cute.
Oh, okay.
And you don't really find out till the next movie how that turns out.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I still have no idea what you're talking about. Good job talking about these spoilers without really saying spoilers. I like it. You're better at that than me.
Well, because sometimes spoilers... Here's how I feel about spoilers. Like, in one of our episodes, I spoiled to Jillian on her 37th birthday. That is a film that is a good film, and it is a great stage play, but I don't think it's something that I would recommend someone go out and see.
Mm-hmm.
So if I feel like strongly that I want you to see the film, then I probably won't spoil it for you.
There you
Which
go.
kind of, sorry everyone, like that kind of seems ridiculous and pick and choose and whatever, but I don't know. I want you to see Patriot Games, is what I'm saying.
I feel like What Lies Beneath, because I spoiled the heck out of that movie. I mean, just most people have seen it, or if they haven't, they're not going to now. It's already been like 15 years, so I'm just spoiling everything in that movie. I don't even care.
There you go.
I am just throwing punches everywhere, people. I don't care about your feelings.
You do, Stacey.
I will.
So from Raiders of the Lost Ark, we started with that. We went into Harrison Ford films. Stacey picked What Lies Beneath. Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, 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 blah.
And I picked Patriot Games. And now we're going to get into our links off of those films. So Stacey, from What Lies Beneath, what did you choose as your link to the next film?
My link is thrillers, because this is my favorite genre of film, or one of my favorite genres. And I picked my favorite movie of all time for my first movie to talk about. I'm going with Silence of the Lambs.
Oh.
Guys, okay. Silence of the Lambs is about a young FBI cadet who must confide in an incarcerated and manipulative killer to receive his help on catching another serial killer who skins his victims. Listen to that synopsis. Jeez, I'm crawling in my skin already. It's really freaky. All right, the cast, Jodie Foster, Anthony Hopkins, and Ted Levine as Buffalo Bill, who does a fantastic job in this movie. You almost forget that it's him, because he's been on like Monk. He played the captain on Monk, and for the longest time I didn't know who that was. And then I saw an interview, and he was talking about Silence of the Lambs, and I was like, the guy that tucked his dick between his legs, that's him? And whoa! I was like really freaked out. It came out in 91, made $130 million. And my first viewing, okay, I watched this movie, I was way too young to see this film. I was 8 years old.
Oh, that's young.
It's young. There is some really scary, there's death, there's nudity, there's violence, there's prisoners throwing nasty stuff in her hair where I didn't know what was happening. I was like, what's that, Dad? He's like, it's nothing, don't worry about it. I was far, far too young to see this movie, but it was the first time where I was like, oh, this is like film. Like, this is what movies can be. Before it had always been, child movies and Disney films and stuff like that, which I love, don't get me wrong, but it was the first time where I realized you can have a serious film and it can be, dramatic and scary and real, and it can make you feel things other than just, oh, this is a happy-go-lucky time. Like, you can feel different emotions watching a movie, and that that's when I kind of fell in love with movies after this. I can't remember why my parents let me watch it. I think they just were they let us watch a lot of things. Like, we watched HBO when it was way too young, when we were way too young. Like, they just didn't really shelter us that much when it came to film. They would talk about it with us, so like if we were never scared of it. Like, this movie didn't scare me, it excited me. I was like, oh, this is like so amazing and incredible, and whoa, what's happening on screen? And it's a thriller, obviously, so it's very dramatic and thrilling. Whoa, there's that word again. But yeah, I was way too young, but it didn't traumatize me. It opened up a whole new door to film and really introduced me to what it could be, and it influenced the movies that I love today. So
now, remind me, why is she even talking to him? Is she a detective? I can't remember.
Okay, so she is a student at it's like Quantico. It's like the FBI training academy, and one of her mentors at the school, who is an FBI agent, is trying to find a serial killer that's been killing women across the country. And they don't know how to find him. So they think that if they talk to Dr. Lecter, he was like a clinical psychologist or something like that, and was a serial killer himself, that he might be able to help them analyze the guy and find out how he's picking his victims. That way they can find out where he lives and try and locate him. He has refused to talk to everyone else, but they think if we send this pretty young woman to meet him, maybe he'll open up a bit, and maybe it just might be
nothing.
It just might be something fun that he can do, like, to amuse himself. Is this like sweet innocent young beautiful FBI agent? They're trying to tempt him, basically, and he takes the bait because he does fall in love with her.
She's the lamb.
She's the lamb, and he's the wolf. No, but it's an incredible film, and if you haven't seen it, just watch Silence of the Lambs. It's one of the best thrillers ever made, in my opinion, and an iconic character in Dr. Lecter. Anthony Hopkins is just glorious, like, just reveling in this role, and really, really enjoys playing it. And he is he's one of the best villains in cinema history as well. He's always on, like, list of top 100 villains. He's always like 5 or 6,
because there's something to like about him, and that's always the hard part. I heard that Anthony Hopkins had read the script so many times, he would do a hash mark for every time that he would read the script, and it was like his whole script was just covered in how many times he would read it, just so he can become the character and figure it all out.
He's incredible, and he's so charming in the movie is the thing. He's incredibly charming, oozes intelligence, and you want him to win almost, even though he's a very violent murderer, and I know that's bad, but when he escapes, I was kind of like, oh my gosh, cool. Like, I liked that, I liked that aspect of the film. And of course it spawned, a whole series. They made Red Dragon and Hannibal and Manhunter, which is actually Red
Before
Dragon
all
was
of
like
it.
which is a prequel to that, and I love those movies too. So and they also had a Hannibal Rising where you get to see how he became who he is, and I liked that movie
Wow.
as well.
And a TV show. My goodness.
And the TV show as well, which I haven't watched. I know I will love it. I just haven't gotten around to watching the episode, so I'm just gonna have to suck it up and buy them on Amazon Instant or something like that. But it's my favorite movie of all time, and it's incredible. And let's get into my favorite scene, which is Ted Levine's scene where he's dancing.
Of course.
White horses crying over you. It's so creepy, and the dog is running around, and she's like screaming down the well, or up from the well rather, and he's just like dancing and like I'm doing the dance right now.
When I first saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, what is happening?
It's so creepy, but it's so brilliant. And you're like, this guy is effing out of his mind. Yes. And he's a complete psychopath. And so, yeah, I mean, that's just one of many, many scenes that I love. Any scene where Dr. Lecter and Clarice Starling are having a conversation. They have several conversations throughout the movie, all while he's behind bars. Right. And it's just wonderful, wonderful dialogue, and then their chemistry together. They're just kind of captivated by each other. You can tell. Dr. Lecter hadn't even seen a woman in like 8 years or something, is what they said. And so he is so enamored by her.
Ex machina.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, why, hello, Clarice. He's so excited to talk to her. And she, in turn, is terrified but also fascinated by him, and wants very badly to succeed and to catch this thriller and needs him to do that. So they both really do need each other and want to interact with each other, and they have a respect for each other and a trust. A very fragile trust, mind you, but it's an incredible film. You need to watch it. So some trivia. During the first meeting between Lecter and Starling, Anthony Hopkins mocks her Southern accent. He's like, "Oh, you a coal miner? You poor white trash," or whatever. He like mocks her West Virginia accent, and at first you see her face and she's horrified. She's like genuinely hurt that he's mocking her. That was improvised. So Anthony Hopkins was like mocking her accent, and Jodie Foster was genuinely like, "What? That's so mean. Why is he doing this?
This is off script."
Yeah. Whoa, Anthony, you're digging a little deep there. But she thanked Hopkins later for doing that because, it got out a genuine reaction from her. Mm-hmm. So that was a great moment on screen. And then in preparation for his role, Anthony Hopkins studied files of serial killers, and he also visited prisons and studied convicted murderers and was present during some court hearings for serial killers. So
he goes all in.
He goes all in. He is all about this character, and it shows because he's incredible.
Did he win an Oscar for this?
I can't remember. I know she did.
Yeah.
I think he did too, but I can't remember.
Probably nominated is what I would guess.
For sure nominated. One of the inspirations that Anthony Hopkins borrowed from his interpretation of Lecter was that a friend of his from London never blinks, or like when he's talking to people, he doesn't blink, and people are like really freaked out by that. So he doesn't blink in the film a whole lot. He very consciously keeps his eyes open when he's speaking to you. Clarice, the screaming of the lambs. And it's really freaky, and it works.
That would be freaky.
And then last but not least, the production crew received full cooperation from the FBI because the FBI saw it as a potential recruiting tool for female agents because they didn't have a lot of female agents. So with Clarice Starling being one of the greatest, heroines or protagonists in movies, and she's a female, I think that it absolutely worked. I mean, think of strong women in film. I think Clarice Starling. So, yeah.
Nice.
She's a go-getter.
So I'm going to go ahead and go to my link. So we went to Raiders of the Lost Ark from there, I did a Harrison Ford film of Patriot Games, and off of Patriot Games, I'm going to link that to CIA portrayal in film. So my first movie, which we could talk a lot about, we could talk very little about, is True Lies. Because I know this is like Stacey's favorite movie.
Love me some True Lies. This is my favorite Schwarzenegger film. It's one of my favorite action films. There's so much to go into and discuss with this movie.
So a fearless, globe-trotting terrorist battling secret agent has his life turned upside down when he discovers his wife might be having an affair with a used car salesman.
How dare she? How dare she? That is Schwarzenegger. Come on. Who is cheating on him?
Exactly. Anyways, this is directed by James Cameron and stars Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Tom Arnold. It was about 100 to 120 million to make, and it made about 380-ish million at the box office. Movie. Of course, it's James Cameron. I mean, so we know a few things. It's going to cost a lot of money to make, and it's going to make a lot of money, and there's going to be some explosions, most likely.
That's right. There's glorious explosions in that movie.
I think I've only seen it probably once or twice. Yes,
you have to watch it over and over again. There's so many moments.
There are so many great moments.
There's so many beautiful moments in this movie.
I didn't see it, though, till, like, after college. So within the last, like, 10-ish years. A little more than that, maybe.
Really?
I think it was just something that my husband owned. He wasn't my husband at the time, but he owned it. And I was like, I should probably watch that. That looks good. So I did. I really like when Jamie Lee Curtis does her dance for him and, like...
Classic.
But she doesn't know it's him. And then I'm like, wait, what was the premise for that? Why was she doing that? I totally forgot.
She was, remember how he set up kind of a fake sting to, once he found out she was cheating on him, he, like, set up a fake, not kidnapping of her, but interrogation scene where he was, like, caught her, brought her in, and he was like, you're going to work for us now. And she was like, what? And they, so they sent her on a little mission. So he just wanted to give her something fun to do.
Yeah.
And then she ends up dancing for him and she falls. And it's one of the funniest moments on screen. I think it's hilarious.
And it was genuine.
It was genuine. And she's a great actress. She has great comedic timing. She knows what's funny and what's serious. I love Jamie Lee Curtis. She's amazing. And her body is banging in this.
I know.
That booty had me like, what? She was good looking.
And I'm like, how old was she at that time? I gotta look that up.
I think
There's
she was like 40.
I need to look up.
I don't know.
She definitely, I was like, or it could have been a stunt double, but I doubt it.
No, I think it was her.
I think it was her.
her.
Tom Arnold didn't expect to get a role in this film, but James Cameron, like, insisted, like, we are going to have Tom Arnold in this film, which is kind of funny.
It's his best role. It is.
I mean, what else has he done?
I don't know. He was married to Roseanne.
Well, yeah, there's that.
He's been in a bunch. He's been in some stuff.
I guess.
He's been in some stuff.
So, what else do you like about True Lies? Let's talk.
I mean, first of all, True Lies, it is action, it's comedy, it's adventure. I saw it with my family. It's a great family film. It has Arnold Schwarzenegger riding a horse in an elevator, jumping off roofs after terrorists, which the terrorist group is called Crimson Jihad. Let's talk about that for a second, because that's so, I mean, it's so, like, you know, pre 9/11, kind of politically incorrect behavior to call it Crimson Jihad, and it's hilarious. There are so many hilarious moments in it, and it's just like Return of the King, where it has 17 endings. So it's like, first they get, like, I almost forget how many endings there are. First they get away from the terrorists, and she's, like, dangling out of a helicopter. And then they're, like, making out, and a bomb goes off in the background. And you think it's going to be this picturesque ending. And then their daughter gets kidnapped. Something else happens.
Wait, so should we stop here, though, for anyone that has not seen the film?
They've seen True Lies.
Okay.
They have. You've seen it, people. You can handle these spoilers. So they get a call. Their daughter, Elijah Dushku of Bring It On fame, has been kidnapped by Crimson Jihad guy. And So they go to save her, and then they have a whole fight scene with, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger steals, like, a helicopter plane thingy, and they have a whole fight scene, and then he goes, "You're fired," and, like, fires at the guy. And then there's another ending where they're all a happy family again, and they're playing Thumb War, and they get a call for, now they're both agents, apparently she went through all the training and everything that you need to do. I'm sure it was no big deal, and she's an agent too now. And then it cuts to them, and it's like a mirror of the opening scene where oh my god, Bill Paxton is in this movie. Guys, Bill Paxton plays a used car salesman who is having an affair with Helen, or no, not really, but she was, like, thinking about it, and shows up in the ending scene, and you know, she, like, threatens him with a little lip gloss thing. There's, like, 15 endings, I swear. It's incredible. This movie is bananas and bonkers, but it's ridiculous fun, and I love it. I think it's so good.
Well, I need to watch it again because it's been too long.
It has.
But I do love it.
It's so good. It's so good.
Let's move on to your other thriller.
All right, my other thriller. So we went Raiders of the Lost Ark, Harrison Ford films, What Lies Beneath, and then I picked from that 2 thrillers. First was Silence of the Lambs. Next, Prisoners. Prisoners is a movie, if you haven't seen it, from 2013.
I haven't seen it, but I do know what it's about, and I do know everything about it. It was one of those times where when you have kids, you can't go to the movies, so I just read what happened in the movie.
Oh, okay.
That's the only way I could do it.
Okay.
And, like, I was like, I don't want to wait till, like, it comes out. Like, I want to know what happens. So that's my trick, guys.
Okay. This movie is actually my favorite movie of 2013. Oh. I was blown away by it. I couldn't believe it wasn't nominated for more awards. I thought it was going to be nominated for, like, 5 Oscars for performances in it. So basically, when Keller Dover's daughter and her friend go missing, he takes matters into his own hands as the police pursue multiple leads and the pressure mounts. But just how far will this desperate father go to protect his family? So it's got everybody in Hollywood is in this movie. Right. It's got Hugh Jackman, Jake Gyllenhaal, Paul Dano, Maria Bello, Terrence Howard, and then Melissa Leo, who I did not recognize at all. Her makeup is incredible, and she just doesn't look like herself. So I was like, that's Melissa Leo? No way. The box office was $60 million. The first time I saw it was with my friend Mary, and we were literally, like, curled up into a ball in our seats because it was so suspenseful when we were just watching it. And we watched it with a packed house, and everyone was like, and then at the end of the movie, they did the thing where I was like, and, like, laughs at yourself because you were, like, so tensely. And then everyone kind of, like, unfurls their limbs because they were, like, you know, so, like, clenched to your sides. It's just a really suspenseful film. It's incredibly well made. It's by Denis Villeneuve. Is that how you pronounce his name?
Possibly.
He's the director. He directed another great movie with Gyllenhaal called Enemy, which if you haven't seen that, watch it. He also directed the upcoming Sicario, which is, I heard...
Cicero? I don't know.
No,
maybe that's not how it goes.
Sicario.
Okay.
I think. No, yeah, that's how they pronounce it. Sicario, with Emily Blunt and Benicio del Toro, and it means hitman in Spanish, I think. And it's about, like, Mexican drug cartels or something. But I heard it's incredible, and everyone at TIFF is talking about it, and the Toronto Film Festival. And then he's also directing the new Blade Runner movie, apparently. So this director, he also directs something called Incendies. He's just an incredible, he's probably one of my favorite directors. He's like David Fincher, kind of. All his movies are very intense, very well crafted. There's small little moments and little, like, Easter eggs you can find and, like, clues, and you can watch it over and over again and find new things.
Dark with lots of details.
Dark, lots of details. It's right up my alley. I think I rewatched it on HBO Go a couple months ago. It was my last viewing of it, but I just loved it so much. I was so blown away, and I'm not going to get into spoilers at all. If you haven't seen it, you need to watch it. But it's incredible. The performances, the intensity, the tone, everything is just like, I couldn't believe what I was watching on screen, and it's so well acted and well put together.
Now Hugh Jackman is in this, right?
Yes.
Who's the bigger performance here, Hugh Jackman or Jake Gyllenhaal?
I would say Hugh Jackman because he has more to do. So Hugh Jackman plays the man that his daughter is kidnapped, and Jake Gyllenhaal is the cop trying to solve it. So Hugh Jackman has some very emotional, very intense scenes, and then Jake Gyllenhaal, just has more. He is like more the supportive detective, and he's trying to figure everything out. So Hugh Jackman, he just has more, emotional scenes to do. So I guess he would have the bigger performance in it. But everyone does a great job. So I cannot stress enough how blown away I was by this movie. So go see it.
Nice. All right, so we start with Raiders of the Lost Ark. I went to Harrison Ford Films' Patriot Games. From there, I went to CIA Portrayal, which I did True Lies. Now I would like to talk about Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, which Stacy and I saw together.
Yeah, we did.
IMAX.
We had a grand old time with that.
We did. So Ethan and his team take on their most impossible mission yet. I'm sure they all start like that in that synopsis. Eradicating the Syndicate, an international rogue organization, as highly skilled as they are, committed to destroying the IMF, Impossible Mission Foundation. Like, what is the
I forgot. Impossible Mission Force. Oh yeah, didn't they make a joke about that in like the third one? And they laughed. Like he said what it stood for, and his wife was like, "Come on, no, it's not."
Exactly. We got our favorites from all of the films: Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt, Jeremy Renner, Simon Pegg, Rebecca Ferguson, which makes a pretty good splash onto the screen.
Yeah, she does.
Ving Rhames and Alec Baldwin. Directed by Christopher McQuarrie and also written by Christopher McQuarrie. The budget was $150 million and it made $531 million and counting. I
guess that's successful.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Just pocket change. They can go to Olive Garden as much as they want, I guess.
But Rebecca Ferguson is like powerhouse of this film.
She's incredible. She stole the show for me.
She's only like in her 20s, which is
really,
of course. It's like, of course,
yeah, of course.
We're gonna have this older man be the lead, and his counterpart is obviously gonna be a 20-year-old. Yeah, that's
how it goes.
That's Hollywood today.
No, she was incredible. She was a force to be reckoned with. She was calm, cool, and collected throughout the movie, and just knew exactly what she was doing. She was so competent, and so she just commanded the screen. Yeah. And she was such a badass. I thought she was great.
The one thing that bugged me about this movie is the villain totally... all I could think about when I was watching was he looks exactly like Michael Douglas in Falling Down. Like, exactly. Like a carbon copy.
I've never seen that.
Okay, so just look at that guy, the villain, and picture him in some other movie about like a man gone crazy. Like, it's just basically
that actor, he was in Prometheus. He played like the geologist that was like, I like rocks, I love rocks, I don't like all this or whatever. And he had like the mohawk with tattoos. That's the guy. That's the same guy. He's also been in some British TV shows and stuff. I watched him on like The Borgias, the one that it's Jeremy Irons plays the Pope in The Borgias, and he's like a gay assassin or something. I had like totally forgot. Yeah. But no, he's like a British thespian. He's been in a ton of stuff, but he just now kind of started to get into like the bigger Hollywood films. So
good for him.
He has an unusual, scary-looking face, so he made a great villain for this. And he's kind of like scrawny and just has these eyes and is like shaking, and I'm like, oh Jesus, like the guy freaks me out. He's a good actor.
I want to know where it's going to go from here, because each new Mission Impossible, it's like the ante just keeps going up, and so it's like. There's so much in this film that it's like it cannot get any like what do you do next?
What is Tom Cruise gonna climb?
It's gonna be
he's gonna be on a rocket ship. It's gonna be a Mission Impossible
in space.
In space, and it's also gonna combine with Fast and Furious, and so he's gonna launch out of a car in space, and Vin Diesel is gonna play shotgun. And it's gonna be oh god, that'd be the greatest mashup ever.
That's all I can think of.
That's all I want is Ethan Hunt and Dominic Toretto
together,
and then Tom Cruise is like really short, and will just be like the shortest one of that crew. He joins the crew, but he's the shortest one. I love it.
Let's do it. That should be Fast 8 or whatever. How many?
Fast 8,
how many are we
Impossible Mission Force in space. Turbo charged.
So the Syndicate is from the television show. It's like a regular antagonist in the television show. So this is kind of the first time it's shown up. They talked about it a little bit in Ghost Protocol, but this is where we really first see it. And when he's receiving the message in the very beginning, he's receiving the message on a record player. That was kind of one of the was one of the ways in the television show that was like that he would do it.
Oh, I like that. I didn't know that. By the way, I never knew that this was a television series until this movie came out and people were talking about it. And I was like, Mission Impossible used to be a TV show? That's where this came from? I had no clue.
I've never seen it.
Never seen it. I don't know who's in it. I have no inkling of what is going on there.
But I've always known the theme song.
Dun,
so
dun,
yeah.
dun, dun, dun. So is that from the...
That's from the television show.
That's from the show. See, I don't know anything about the TV show.
We actually did...
When
you know
was
what?
the TV show?
I don't know.
Like
60s,
in the 60s?
Maybe?
Oh, okay.
Maybe 70s?
I'm a 90s kid, so I'm
idea.
like, I just know the first movie
Yeah.
with Tom Cruise and he's hanging from the ceiling, and that's like, iconic screen moment. That's all I know.
And that was mid-90s, and we also, for Homecoming one year, did a routine to the Mission Impossible theme. So there you go.
Okay.
Yep. Incorporated back into dance, as
Always.
Anyways, that is it for today in terms of all of our films. So we started with Raiders of the Lost Ark. We linked them to Harrison Ford films. I did Patriot Games. Stacy did
What Lies Beneath.
From What Lies Beneath, Stacy chose
Thrillers, and I did The Silence of the Lambs and Prisoners.
And from Patriot Games, I chose something. True Lies, CIA Portrayal.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
CIA.
So I can't, my brain is just
Can you
not
get it
working.
together?
I know.
Okay.
So, yes, True Lies and Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. And now, before we leave, we are going to do some movie link tweets to Harrison Ford films. We always do it off of our first link. So here are some of the people. Would you like to read it for us? I tried to make it a little bit easier today.
Thank you. Yeah, I didn't know how to read the Twitter handles last time. The letters and everything get confusing. So JCT16 and Tyler Meyer said their favorite Harrison Ford film was Blade Runner. Jamie Hibbets, Brian Williams, Brad Smoley, and Christopher Skalicki did The Fugitive. Kurt Tall did Air Force One. Get off my plane. Good choice. The Kill Chair did Apocalypse Now. Nick James did 42. Mr. Awesome did Clear and Present Danger. Parker Drew and Matt Colville did Witness. And Anthony Tobias did Regarding Henry, which I haven't heard of the last one. What's that one?
Regarding Henry. Okay. I want to say it's something about memory loss, but I could be completely wrong.
No, we're making up facts. This is the podcast where we make up facts.
Then
it's about
here it is.
Memory loss. And then he has to go through 3 movies where he finds out that he actually was recruited into... Wait, that's the Bourne films. Never mind. Yeah, made up facts. There you go.
All right. Good times.
Good times.
Where can we find you, Stacey?
You can find me on Twitter at SOHoward2012.
Fantastic. And you can find me on Twitter at Miss Movies. If you want to follow me on Instagram, you can do that as well. Miss_movies there. And that's about it for us. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, guys.
We'll
Hashtag
see ya.
movie facts.
Movie
Fake facts.
Movie fiction.
Movie fiction.
And that's it.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
6 Degrees of Feature Film is produced by Stacey Howard and me. Special thank you to Ken Napzok for our intro and Matt Brown for our artwork.